Wake Forest won 3 straight bowl games for just the second time in school history, but can they make it 4 in a row? Find out here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.
Dave Clawson continues to amaze me with the job he is doing with this Demon Deacons program. He has led Wake Forest to 3 straight bowl games and 3 straight bowl victories after going just 3-9 in each of his first 2 seasons. And in 2019, he certainly has the team to get them back to their 4th straight bowl appearance. They returned 7 offensive starters, including Jamie Newman at quarterback. Newman is an extremely dangerous dual-threat quarterback and didn't emerge as the starter for the Demon Deacons until late into the 2018 season, but actually did lead Wake Forest to that bowl victory over Memphis, one of the most thrilling games of the 2018-2019 postseason. They do return Cade Carney, an 1,000-yard rusher for Wake Forest, and even though they do lose Greg Dortch, their top wide receiver from last year, they do bring back Scotty Washington and Sage Surratt. So Jamie Newman has a phenomenal supporting cast for an offense I expect to take some major strides forward in 2019. On defense, that's going to be the biggest question mark for Wake Forest. They only returned 5 starters from a unit that allowed 33.3 points per game last year. Luckily, they do return a veteran in Justin Sternad, the leading tackler for Wake Forest last year with 105 tackles. And the secondary, I think, will be fairly experienced and fairly strong with Amari Henderson and Asang Bassi. So this is a Wake Forest unit that was just 5 returning starters. I have questions, but I think Dave Clawson can get this team back to their 4th straight bowl appearance with a little work on the defensive side of the ball. They open up against Utah State, and you'll notice we do not have an automatic W by the Aggies. And that's because of a guy named Jordan Love, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire group of 5. Unfortunately for Utah State, they only returned 2 starters on the offensive side of the ball, and Love is one of them. They will be led by Gary Anderson, who previously coached Utah State before stints with Wisconsin and Oregon State. He's now making his 2nd stint with the Aggies. I think Wake Forest takes pretty easy care of Utah State, but they cannot afford to overlook this one. It's going to be on a Friday night. It is going to be at home for Wake Forest. That is a benefit. But when you're going up against a top quarterback like that and a squad that really expects some high hopes or expects some big-time wins in 2019, it does spell danger for any team. But I think Wake Forest gets a win over the Aggies. They start off 2-0 with an easy win over Rice on the road. And then they face North Carolina on September 12th. And this is an intriguing game because North Carolina is an ACC opponent. However, this game will be considered a non-conference game. So Wake Forest going up against North Carolina out of conference. They have a brand new head coach as well in Mack Brown. And this is a North Carolina team that I think is getting a little too much hype. A lot of people are expecting UNC to maybe win 5 or 6 games in Mack Brown's first year. And they're basing that off of because North Carolina returns a lot of starters from injury last year. They were competitive last year despite going just 2-9. And I think Mack Brown can immediately come in and right the ship. I don't think that's going to be the case in 2019. Wake Forest hosts the Tar Heels. I think they struggle more than people think they will. And I think Wake Forest gets a 3rd win in a row over North Carolina. Unfortunately, that will not go on their record for conference play for either team. They get an easy win over Elam before going on the road to Boston College. So Wake Forest sitting at 4-0 very well could be a top 25 team when they face off against Boston College on September 28th. Now here's the issue. We talked about their defense at the beginning of the video. Their defense is going to have to step up big against the Eagles. Last year, Wake Forest allowed A.J. Dillon, the running back for Boston College, to run for 185 yards. Last year, they allowed an average of 193 rushing yards per game. So this rushing defense for Wake Forest is really going to have to step it up if they want to have any chance of beating this Boston College team. Last year in Winston-Salem, Wake Forest lost 41-34. That score looking a little closer than it really was. Boston College's defense is usually fairly strong under Steve Addazio. The offense this year probably going to be one of the best we've ever seen under Steve Addazio. This game being on the road, I don't think they're going to be able to shut down A.J. Dillon. And even if they do, Anthony D. Brown is a very veteran quarterback. I think they lose their first game in ACC play to a dangerous Boston College team. They get a bye week before coming back home to face off against Louisville, and this is going to really benefit them to kind of get their confidence back in track. Louisville bringing in a new head coach in Scott Satterfield from Appalachian State, and I think Louisville is going to struggle majorly in year one under Scott Satterfield, much like I believe North Carolina will under Mack Brown. Wake Forest won by 21 on the road last year, and really everybody beat Louisville last year. They went winless in ACC play and were very uncompetitive over the course of the year. This game is at home this week. This game is off of a week of rest. I think Wake Forest annihilates Louisville in this one, and they are going to be 5-1 going into a big-time showdown against Florida State. Now keep in mind, last year Florida State was one of the most disappointing teams in the nation. Year one of the Willie Taggart era, they go 5-7, and they were much more competitive than Louisville when it came to most of their games, but they weren't able to get the job done most of the time. They were able to get the job done against Wake Forest, though. Wake Forest went on the road to Tallahassee, lost by 21 points. I expect this game in Winston-Salem to be much like the game in 2017 when Florida State last visited Wake Forest, a 26-19 victory for the Seminoles. This game will be close, but Florida State is too experienced and will have improved too much on both the offense and defensive side of the ball in year two under Willie Taggart to come in and lose this game. Wake Forest drops a game to the Seminoles, who are going to be dangerous in 2019. People don't want to believe it, but it is going to be the truth. Wake Forest drops this game to the Seminoles. They get a much-needed bye week once again, and actually they only play 2 games before another bye week. So Wake Forest should be pretty rested going into their final 5 games of the season. They get off that bye week to host North Carolina State, a team that Wake Forest has beaten in upset fashion the past 2 seasons. And I'm going to make it 3 seasons in a row that Wake Forest will beat the North Carolina State Wolfpack. North Carolina State loses Ryan Finley. They lose their leading rusher. They lose their top 2 wide receivers. So this is going to be a gift for a Wake Forest defense that could struggle a little bit. They're going up against an NC State offense that might struggle at times. Now, I think by November 2nd, they will have worked things out. I think Matt McKay is the right man for the job, and I think Dave Doran, like Dave Clawson, is extremely underrated and is going to do a decent job with the Wolfpack this season. But coming off a week of rest, with this game being at home, I think Wake Forest owns the edge a little bit on both sides of the ball here, at least on the offensive side of the ball, and they get a win over the Wolfpack, and it's going to be much needed. And with that win, they clinch bowl eligibility, and they're sitting at 6-2 going into their final 4 games of the season. Unfortunately, those final 4 games are extremely tough. 3 of those last 4 are on the road. 1 against Virginia Tech, a team that will be greatly improved in 2019. 1 against Clemson, the reigning national champions, and 1 against Syracuse, a team that won 10 games last year. We'll start with the game against Virginia Tech, and this one being on the road does not help Wake Forest cause in any way, shape, or form, but Virginia Tech returns 10 starters on the defensive side of the ball. That right there should be enough to say this is a dangerous game for Wake Forest. Bud Foster, one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire nation, inheriting that much experience after a disappointing year last season, and the offense returns 6 starters, and Ryan Willis, guys, I'm telling you, I think he's the real deal. He comes in for Josh Jackson last year, played exceptionally well. Now he has a whole year under his belt, a whole offseason under his belt going into 2019. This game on the road for Wake Forest, I don't see them beating Virginia Tech, who's going to be greatly improved. They dropped this one to the Hokies. They also dropped this one to Clemson. And now Clemson, as we mentioned, I don't think anybody in the regular season can beat the Tigers. They have Trevor Lawrence, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation. You've heard it all before. It's the same old stuff. Best quarterback, best wide receiver core. Yes, they might lose a lot of starters on the defensive side of the ball, but there are people out there saying that Clemson might lose 2 games, maybe 3 games in 2019, and those people don't know what they're talking about because Dabo Swinney continues to not just rebuild, he reloads on the defensive side of the ball. This game on the road in Death Valley, Wake Forest, I unfortunately do not think stands much of a chance against the reigning national champs. They fall to Clemson, who I think will go undefeated in 2019. They come back home to face off against Duke, and this is an intriguing game just because of what happened last year. If you remember last year, Wake Forest went on the road to face a Duke team that I think was better in 2018 than they will be in 2019. Wake Forest was a 10-point underdog when they went on the road to face the Blue Devils, beat Duke in the season finale 59-7 as 10-point underdogs. This year they host Duke in Winston-Salem, and this year they will beat Duke once again. Maybe not by that big of a margin, maybe not by 52 points, but they will beat a Duke team that might struggle a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, but will desperately need a win here to try to get to bowl eligibility. So Wake Forest can't afford to overlook them or take Duke for granted, but I do think they get the win over the Blue Devils to get their 7th win of the season. They close out the year against Syracuse, a team that Wake Forest lost to 41-24 last year. This is a game where the secondary has to step up big. They want to try to clinch 8 wins this season on the road at the Carrier Dome. They're going to have to shut down Tommy DeVito and make the Syracuse team win on the ground. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. It's on the road. It's senior night, and this Syracuse team is absolutely the real deal. 2018 was not a fluke. This team could even be better than the one last year. They got Tommy DeVito. They lose Eric Dungy. Not a big deal. DeVito's the real deal. And the defense for Syracuse is not getting enough attention, but they are going to be dangerous, especially that defensive line. You might see Jamie Newman running a lot in this game, but it's not because he's going to be picking up yards. It's just going to be because he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Wake Forest falls in this game to the Orange to finish the season 7-5. And I think that's a very respectable year for Dave Clawson. That is once again going to get them to their 4th straight bowl game under Clawson, a solid bowl game at that, and a chance to finish the season 8-5. So, Wake Forest fans, this is nothing to frown about. It would be another solid year in Winston-Salem, a 4th straight bowl appearance, and a chance at a 4th straight bowl victory. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. Please go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And especially go check out our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter, check out our videos, and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will get every single one of our college football spread picks for the 2019 season, and that does include the postseason. It is a deal and an opportunity that no one can pass up. Go join countless others, join our team today, and sign up for our expert picks only at thegridironexpert.com. And guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time here on The Gridiron Expert.